Welcome. We are talking about healthy communication here tonight in the Healthy Relationships Sisterhood Facebook group. Thanks so much for joining me. And if you are just coming on, then say hello and please let me know where you are listening from. It's always interesting to see that. I know we have people from all over the world here in this group, and we just hit 1,000 members recently. 1,000 of you here, women in earnest, wanting to experience happy and healthy relationships. So I celebrate that, right? Because I literally believe that we can change the world one relationship at a time, right? Changing our relationships from the inside out, we can change the world. So how wonderful that we're here to do that together. And hello, Nalini. So great to have you in my circle in this beautiful space, and love that we have such a history together. So awesome. So anyone else who's chiming in, say where you're from, say hello. And like I said, we are talking about healthy communication. And so I have some questions for you. And there's a bit of a time lag when I'm teaching and the comments, so there'll be a pause sometimes. But just adjusting my necklace, I can't see all of me, what's in the camera. So hopefully I'm all in. Okay. Hi from Australia. What's your first name, LJ? Or is that what I call you, LJ? I'd like to know. But so great that you're here. And I spent a year in Australia. I spent a year in Sydney in college. So I wonder where in Australia you are. Such a beautiful country and such friendly people. So glad you're here. Okay, healthy communication. So here's some questions for you. And I'm going to bring up my notes. And question number one is, well, put a yes in the comment if you have experienced a lot of ease in your communication. If things flow fine for you and there's no problem and you just smoothly sail through communication. Just curious if that's true for you. And I'm guessing that not too many of us have had that experience. So then alternately, put a, let's do thumbs up in the comment, or you can write the word thumbs up if you don't have an emoji. Put that in the comment if you have struggled with communication and you feel frustrated, you feel like you're not getting heard or understood in the way you like. If you wish you knew how to communicate better, put a thumbs up or a word thumbs up in the comments so I can see where you're at. Portland, Oregon, Kim, welcome. And Lynn, okay, Lynn, great. Thanks for letting me know. Melbourne, yes, I've been there. Cool, pretty true, Nalini. Thanks for letting me know. Great, you guys are here. Thanks for chiming in. Okay, and so what I'd love to know from you next is, what has been your biggest challenge in communication? Is there a certain area of communication that you find you, that you have the most stumbling blocks, as I stumble over my words? Where do you get stuck? Where do you feel the most frustration? Let me know that, because I can teach you what you're most wanting here tonight. So we're waiting for a moment to hear your response, to see your response in this case. And my next question, while I'm waiting for those comments to show up, is, what do you hope that healthy communication will bring to you in your relationship? What do you hope it will bring? Boundaries, Lynn. Thank you. Okay. Yep. And someone else has a like to that. So that next question is, what are you most hoping you will experience from healthy communication? I'm more talkative. I don't know which answer that's for, Nalini. Is that what you're hoping for, that you'll be more talkative? Connection, yeah, that's the answer that I often hear, Lynn also, and would have for myself. So I'm sure you're not alone in that one. And I want to say that we all want connection. We all, we are wired for connection. We're social beings. And so, of course, the pandemic has been hard for a lot of people who are feeling isolated and alone at home, not having enough connection, not having enough intimacy, time to converse, feel seen and heard. So I really want to acknowledge the challenge of that. And so it is really important to have healthy communication. And great, Yvette, welcome from Ferndale. And so we're talking about, if you're just getting here, I've asked two questions. One is, what has been your biggest challenge area in communication? So I'd love to know that. And the second question is, what do you hope will happen if you have healthy communication? So put that in the comment for me so I can respond. And now I'm going to just launch into sort of what I see as some of the key elements in healthy communication. And we can contrast those a little bit to those that are, quote, unhealthy or unproductive or, cause conflict or distance. So just check in the comments. And I just want to let you guys know, if I'm not responding to your comment, it's probably because I'm not seeing it. Sometimes I don't see every comment for whatever reason, and then I see them later when I go back in to look. So, but for the most part, I think I'm on track and it's working out. So let's talk about, this is in no particular order, but one healthy aspect of communication is taking responsibility or ownership for your experience. So what that looks like is owning your part, owning what you did, acknowledging what you said or did. And the opposite, of course, would be denying that or trying to put the blame on somebody else instead of acknowledging your part. So thanks, Yvette. You say boundaries, connection, and true intimacy. That's what you would hope for, obviously. Thank you for that. Okay, great. I'm right there with you. So that's one of them, is this responsibility piece. And I guess I want to back up and say that I do believe that most of us were not given training in healthy communication growing up. We weren't modeled healthy communication. We were modeled, toxic or unhealthy relationships, or, a lot of disconnection over connection. So raise a hand if that's true for you. You were not modeled or taught specifically how to communicate effectively, clearly, openly in your early life. Okay, so moving on. Another key aspect of communication that we often don't think about is actually the part of receiving, the being the listener part. So that's so important, right? Because raise a hand if you want to feel heard. Everybody wants to feel heard. And so being a good listener is important for that to happen. And so unhealthy listening habits are what I would call listening with an agenda. So you're listening to try and prove the person wrong. You're listening to make sure that you get heard next. You're listening to prove a point, or you're just not really listening. You're distracted, multitasking, like a lot of us do. Yep, 2 hands raised. Thank you for letting me know. Yep, definitely you're not alone in that. So listening with curiosity, with openness, is what I would consider a form of healthy listening, healthy communication. And then there's no agenda, right? There's no agenda. You're just open, curious, wondering, wanting to learn. So that's a positive listening practice. And when you experience that, you probably feel that. You probably get, this person's just there for me. They're not trying to fix me. They're not trying to make me wrong or insert themselves, that type of thing. Okay, so moving on to the next one I have here on my list is staying connected to the other person. So we've talked about how connection is is an intention or a positive outcome of healthy communication, and yet so often we are disconnected from the other person as well as ourselves. So let's talk about being disconnected from the other person. So that can come from not listening with curiosity, for sure, and that's a really good way to disconnect, is to one, not listen, period, to be distracted, or two, just to be thinking about something else, or really not fully giving your attention. So not staying connected to the other person. So part of how do you connect? What does that mean to stay connected? It's like resonating in your body, what I call attuning to them. So that's a process of like trying to get what they're experiencing, wondering about their experience. Like I said before, being curious. So that's part of connection, is really like trying to put yourself in their shoes, so to speak. And now another one is speaking the truth, the absolute, or what I like to call the unarguable truth. So when you are speaking the unarguable truth, that is, you're speaking the truth that cannot be argued with. Like it's totally clear that most people would agree that's the truth. And then the alternative is when you speak things that are arguable. Like you're a nice person is arguable because not everyone would agree, right? So when you speak with opinions and beliefs, you're more in that arguable category. Moving on, asking for what you want. Someone, I think, mentioned that maybe earlier. So when you ask for what you want, that's an important part of healthy communication, right? Because so many times we believe we shouldn't ask for what we want because then we'll be seen as needy or demanding. So we withhold that part of the truth. The truth is, I want something. I have a desire. I have a preference. So you can't really have connection without sharing yourself, and your desires and needs are part of that, sharing yourself. Okay, so moving on is staying present with yourself. So I talked about staying present with somebody else, but staying present with yourself is key, because sometimes we go so far over into the other person's experience that we lose ourselves. We're no longer knowing who we are and what we need in the moment. We don't take care of our needs, and that's where boundaries come in, as someone mentioned, or a couple of you mentioned. So when you're staying connected with yourself, you're more able to honor your own limits and boundaries in the connection. So that's really key, I think, for healthy connection, healthy relationships, healthy communication. Moving on, knowing and articulating your core feelings. This is a big topic. I'm not going to name them all right now, but when we know the true feelings that we're having and can share that, that's a part of being heard and being understood, right? Because the feeling, our emotions, are a big part of who we are. And so if we skip over that, if we don't share the feeling part of ourselves, we're not able to make as true of a connection. Okay, so moving on, receiving criticism or accusations with openness. That's not easy. That's a tough one. Most people want to defend. Raise your hand if defensiveness is your go-to when there's a criticism or accusation. Raise a hand, or you can say yes in the comments. So receiving criticism with openness is sort of back to curiosity. Curiosity is a form of openness, right? It's like, I wonder about that. I don't know. So just allowing yourself to wonder about where that person's coming from, what they're trying to say, why they might be feeling that way. This is an openness versus just putting up a wall of defense. So when that wall's up, there's disconnection, right? And if you want connection, then you want to try getting more open. Moving on, so my last one here, and then we'll finish up soon, is working with your own nervous system. so that you can respond skillfully instead of reacting. And this is a big one I hear from people, that they get triggered easily, or their partner gets triggered, and then it becomes really difficult to communicate skillfully, and that is really understandable. When we're triggered, when we're in reaction mode, our nervous system is activated, we are not able to think clearly. We're not able to just even remember our skills in communication. We're more like in defensive protection mode, we could say, in fight or flight. And so that gets in the way of easeful and, harmonious connection. So let me hear in the comments which of these was an aha for you. Which one is something that maybe you've heard about it but you forgot about it, or maybe you just have a big like, oh my gosh, I need to implement that a lot more than I have been. So put that in the comments for me so I can get a sense of where you're at. And also, if you have any questions, please put that in the comments. And I'll just wait a sec for those to show up. I'm coming back to what you were sharing, sort of what you wanted. Yeah, okay. These are great points. Good, I'm glad. Anyone else? We have a little crew here tonight, and I'll leave this video up for a little bit so people can watch later. And if you are watching later, go ahead and comment, because I love seeing your comments, and other people learn from you even if you're not live. So other people will be coming and reading comments, and we learn from each other, and that's what I love about having an interactive group like this. Okay, so I'm seeing the comments now. My feelings are important because they are a big part of who I am. Wow, yes, this is important. Great, I'm glad. They are a big part, and they're an intimate part. And you mentioned wanting true intimacy, and it's hard to have intimacy if you don't share your true feelings. Okay, listening without an agenda. Yeah, I know that's a nuance that a lot of us don't think about, but tune into that for yourself, how you're listening. And then Yvette says, I appreciate my sweetie who listens with both eyes when we disagree. Wow, I like that. Listens with both eyes. That's cool. He looks at me while I'm speaking. It's wonderful. Yes! Thumbs up to that, Yvette. Thanks for sharing. And that is a big part of being present, right? I spoke about staying connected to the other person, regardless of what they're saying, right? Staying connected is so important to feel connected. So how do you stay connected? Eye contact is one really great way. So it's so wonderful when someone is able to do that. Some people are really uncomfortable with eye contact, you may have noticed. And that's, not something to blame them for. There's reasons for that. It's usually based in early trauma, that's really awkward and uncomfortable for people. So just know to have understanding around that. But it's also, something to voice if you want more eye contact, that you need to let somebody know. And that's where you ask for what you want, like we talked about earlier. Okay, so I'll just hang out another moment. We've gone a little bit longer than I intended, so let me know if you have any other comments you'd like to share or questions. And in the meantime, what I'm going to let you know, I think many of you do know, is that I do have a free training coming up right here in this group, the Healthy Relationship Sisterhood, all about healthy communication. And we're going to take these points deeper. Probably not going into every single one, but we're going to take these and others deeper and have practices and stuff you can implement and come back into the group and share. And there's prizes. I'm giving away a ton of prizes this time. So over $1,500 worth in prizes. So you don't want to miss it. And I've got the link in the description, and I'm going to put it right here in the comment as well for you to sign up, because when you register for the training, that's when you get eligible for the prizes. So you have to be registered. And also what you get when you're registered are updates and reminders, because not everything is happening at the same time every day. And you also get a workbook when you register. So get the workbook because it helps for learning, right? We have that visual learning piece. So I highly recommend that. There's fill in the blanks, so you can have your workbooks out while I'm teaching each evening and fill in the blanks with me, and you'll get the learning on a deeper level, in my opinion. I see another comment. Excuse me. From Nalini, navigating traumas is a bit tough. Absolutely. He's been dealing with a tragic loss. Oh, I'm sorry. I have old traumas that get triggered for sure. You know, I think we all do, Nalini. We all have traumas. We've all had some kind of loss and things that need to be grieved. And I'm not minimizing a tragic loss. That's horrible. And that just takes time to get, to grieve. But yeah, that can get in the way of connection, especially when someone wants to disconnect when they're having a lot of big feelings. So yeah, this is why, Nalini, I went on from my relationship training, my coaching training. I did a body-centered coaching training. I went on to study trauma more specifically, and I've done extended studies in working with developmental and complex trauma for that very reason, because it is tricky. And it's complex. It's not simple. It's not just a one-size-fits-all. And that's why I wanted to add that to my toolbox, so to speak, so I can support pretty much everybody who has some form of developmental or complex trauma. Because it affects how we communicate, right? Whether we can have eye contact, how much connection we're comfortable with. It affects our ability to express our needs, and how defensive we are, and how triggered we get. It affects all of those points. So I can give you the kind of the gloss overview and the tools and techniques, which I'll be doing in my training. And then, a lot of you will want more support than that, because communication is one of the pieces of the puzzle to have healthy and thriving relationships. And so I'll be talking about that and opportunities for that for more depth in that training. So I really look forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's very interactive, like we're having now, and even more so with the prizes. Everybody's going to learn from each other and get a lot of ahas and insights and real practical tools that you can take right home into your partner or with your kid and or your parents or whoever, and practice and come back and take the next tool and bring that back. So very, very dynamic and applicable. So I hope you join me, and we're starting on the 15th of March, and the timing of that is Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we're also, and you'll see this on the registration, when you register, you'll get an email with the info, and you'll see it on the thank you page. You'll also, there's a Sunday event that I'm taking it into a much more interactive Zoom experience with everybody. And then we'll have a following Monday night with special guests. So we've got 7 days of training. Did I do that right? Yep. and lots to learn from each other. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Look forward to seeing you. I'm here again next week at the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, and then come to the Get Heard training. And I recommend you sign up for text messaging. Don't worry, I'm not going to jam your phone with texting, but I'm just going to give you a reminder so you don't forget to actually show up, because I find that people, have it in their calendar and then they forget to look at their calendar, or they didn't see the email and they forget to come. So the training is available for a short period of time, so I don't want you to lose that access. So sign up for text messaging. If you're already signed up, I'll send an email to let you know how to do that. Okay, bye for now.